Recorded in their mother's basement, Super Nerdland brings you Graded Point 5, where in a comic book it would be worth less than the polybag it comes in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Graded Point 5. I'm your host Jason. With me tonight are just Daryl and Piper.
Yo!
I'm assuming you can tell which is which.
Oh, hi Jason, how are you doing?
That's Daryl.
Yeah, that's me. Hey folks. Piper, wanna say hi?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I won't.
Yeah.
Apparently she's not actually gonna.
I want to, but I'll hold off.
Sorry. I'm over here dying. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Right. This week, reading this comic Piper told us to read. So,
Are we?
yeah. This was all Piper's idea.
Yeah, and you suck if you didn't read it.
Yeah, I forgot that's the thing we have to do.
It's a podcast about comic books.
You suck so bad.
Yeah, but nobody said I had to read them.
I mean, what else are you gonna do with comic books?
I don't know. Most modern books, I'd wipe my ass with them.
I mean, okay, you're fair.
Yeah. Or
Cut
use
them
them.
up and make collages.
Yeah, if I want the butch superhero female collage spearheaded by Captain Marvel.
Alright, so this book is called Alabaster Wolves. That's what we're going to talk about, and if you do not agree with what we say, which you're probably going to, hit us up on twitter.com/gradedpoint5.
I like how
Spell
this
it all out.
I like how this female wolf has multiple nipples.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of quality you're in for tonight.
Yeah. It's been busy. It was my nephew's birthday today, and I spent most of the day drawing and listening to some badass classical rock and shit. So, yeah, I shirked my
You've been
responsibilities.
reading and listening to it.
I can't. I've told you guys multiple times I can't read. I only enjoy comics for the pictures. So, my commentary is going to be very, very fucking stilted. So, I'm not even sure half the time what I'm looking at. But yeah, we're doing, what'd you say it was?
Alabaster Wolves, written by Caitlin R. Kiernan, art and letters by Steve Lieber, colors by Rachel Gosenberg, and covers by Greg Ruth. Sounds like a bunch of Jews.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Lieber, Rosenberg, yeah, I mean.
Michael
Weird though that the writer's
Avon-Oming.
not the Jew.
Well, Michael Avon Oming, for the best of my knowledge, isn't a Jew. But
Where?
he did the variant cover.
Oh, the variant cover?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, he used to do other comics that I read once upon a time. I can't remember what any of them were. I think one of them wasn't Powers, was it?
Might have been.
Anyway.
Ugh.
Wait, so you didn't read it, but you already know more facts about it than I do.
Hey. Wikipedia is my friend. No. I actually got the book up. I'm looking at it. I'm doing my job. I'm just doing it really late and half-assed, which is opposed to how I usually do it, which is timely but half-assed. So, fuck. But no, let's delve into it.
To be fair, has there ever been a time where we put in our full ass?
Honestly, yeah. That time, the first time Piper did the show, and I think all of us were stoned, and we sat there for 30 minutes joking about I don't know what. I think about eating bugs or something. I don't know. But if you're talking about actually addressing comic books, no, we don't do that. Actually, we did recently get some criticism for half-assing it.
Did you?
Nah. See, our thing is we joke, it's a lot of self-deprecation around here. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we don't expect anybody to take us too seriously. We're just here to have fun. And
I was really hoping you got hate mail. I was excited.
I don't get hate mail, but I will tell you that letter that you wrote me was really like, fuck you, your show sucks.
Good place. We don't have haters.
Stung a little.
But conversely, we also don't have fans.
Hey, we do. Hypothetically.
I mean, there's the one installed in my ceiling right now, but...
Yeah, the one that's blowing hot air into my room.
I am down to one box fan, and it is dying. Which means Jesus. I am also dying, with it.
Oh, man, yeah, I'll miss that box fan. I mean, I'll miss you, Piper.
To be fair, it's harder to replace the box fan. Alright, so, the quick and dirty of this comic. It's Hellboy if Hellboy was a religious zealot and actually knew how to fight.
Yeah, this is...
And was albino and had titties.
She didn't really have titties, though. She's only, 16?
I have no idea, but she at least has some titties,
Is that why her eyes are red? Because she's albino?
She's albino.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just thought they really liked white.
You haven't read it. I was like, it says it in there.
Oh, yeah, it's you. You're that murdering wackadoodle crazy albino kid, ain't you?
Right freaking there.
Yeah, well, you know what? Don't expect
I vote for Bird as best character.
You guys want to give a synopsis so I know what we're talking about?
Little albino sort of god girl runs afoul of some werewolves. Starts killing one. It, manages to cut her arm up and do her, a good bit of damage. And she goes after a defiled church full of werewolves. And, murder kills them.
Murder kill.
Finds out basically gets saved by the ghost of the first werewolf she killed.
The one with all the titties that you liked.
Yeah.
Is her name really Dancy?
Yeah. Well, she was raised by a swamp witch. Of course she's got a weird name.
Dancy Flammarion. Wow. Oh, she literally got touched by an angel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Della Reese wasn't involved.
Yeah. Thank God.
But yeah. Finds out there's this head werewolf who's cut the entire area off. They can enter, but they can't leave. And there's an evil book of, werewolf lore and spells and shit.
It's a Grimmer, and that's why there's other monsters, too.
Yeah, there's a shitload of monsters. Scorns the angel. Only to find out she was being played.
By everything and everybody.
Including the angel.
Yeah.
Dude, so many tentacles.
Right?
Yeah, tentacle woman in there too, somewhere. So she, busts the book with a sword, takes in all the evil energy, explodes, kills the bad guy, and is like, well, I'm fucked, and then it just ends.
I got a question. Is this bird tied to her in some fashion?
No. It's its own creature.
Okay.
Just a bird.
Okay. Just a bird.
They never explain why it can talk.
But it is just a bird.
And why nobody seems surprised that it can talk.
And why it knows shit. A lot of weird shit.
Well, at least knows all the shit because it's been trapped there, and everything that is trapped there for ever, and they don't age. Yeah. And they're trapped in that town. So the bird's been there a long ass time. From back when the shit went down. So that's why the bird knows a lot, but
yeah.
But it's not even a parrot, so it's still why the fuck can it talk? Nothing else can talk. No other woodland creatures are talking. Just this one smart-ass bird.
Smart-ass bird.
And it's not like it's talking like a parrot. It's just, like, holding normal conversations and shit. It doesn't explain that or why nobody's phased.
We just kind of have to accept it at face value.
Yeah. Still best
Suspension of disbelief.
I thought it was going to explain it at some point, but it never explains why it can specifically talk. And, like, nothing else that isn't at least, like, humanoid.
Yeah.
Like, nothing else can talk unless it's at least humanoid. Like, it's weird. But,
I was wondering if the bird was tied to her because it has red markings on its its right wing where she got cut by the werewolf. So
it always actually has the markings there. It's just that the light has to be on it the right way. It's just what kind of bird it is because it's on both wings.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but it's only kind of there sometimes.
Right. There are entire fucking pages where they don't bother drawing it. So
yeah.
That's why I was a bit confused.
Like, art's a bit inconsistent.
Yeah. It's crazy because it's kind of really good at points and then really, like, what the fuck at others. And I can relate to that, so, because that's my art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inconsistent is a good way to put it. It's never so bad that it's distracting.
Yeah.
Because you can still easily follow along.
Right.
But it is like sometimes you'll have details and then sometimes like nothing has any detail and there's no explanation as to why all the details cut out. Like
right. It's yeah. Typical, indie dark horse stuff, where I mean, I'm paging through this really quick and giving it a quick read, and I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Well, see, it's neat because it kind of really picks apart, like, since it's an old southern swampland town, so it really kind of picks apart, like, the Southern Baptist kind of things, this and that. But it also kind of helps pick apart the fact that, like, well, this exists, but also these other religions exist, and this and that. I like how it leaves it open-ended, though.
Right.
Where apparently it was gonna be inevitable that she apparently had a little spat with her angel. And then comes to find out that she was actually the that she herself is actually death. It's like the rider and the horse. But then she goes from death to like death 2.0. And that's how they end it. It's like, well, now from the Christian religion standpoint, she's death. But then she just destroyed this book that has how to summon all these demons and apparently different gods. And she absorbed all that. So she's basically like, I solved the small problem of the town, but in the process, she herself became a much bigger problem.
And there's no follow-up to this.
Right. Oh, so there's nothing?
Yeah, this is it.
Okay. Well, it's in Dark Horse Presents, number 18. Dancy is, so it looks like she's made other appearances in the Dark Horse,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how it was kind of presented, was this series is pretty much, you can read it by itself, but it also is like the making of that character specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But there was never really any follow-up other than like a one-off appearance.
Yeah, she hasn't gotten her own books, any more of her own books still. But I think if they wanted to leave it that way, it's something that they could come back to if they feel like it.
So just somebody who could pop up here and there and like anthologies and stuff.
Yeah, or if anybody else felt like taking the character and doing something else with her. So they set it up to where the story is still a complete story. Right. It's just one of those that leaves you like, huh. And then that character was that, you know?
Yeah.
It's still technically an ending. It's just a really open ending.
Right. It sounds like it'd be a little dissatisfying though. Like setting up this larger world and kind of like, you know, where do we go next? I mean, I guess on the one hand, leaving it open-ended can kind of like let the reader decide where it goes next, and you know, you can take it wherever your imagination leads you or whatever crap, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it seems like a wasted opportunity to set up this really interesting character and then, you know, kind of not do anything else with her for the next 6 years, you know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
They managed to cram tons of character development into just 5 issues. But they did the basic setup where you're introduced to a character, you're given a problem. The character gets forced to fix the problem. They do a lot of being able to put backstory in there in a way that's not, like, boring.
Right.
While still giving backstory.
Yeah.
And then you end with said problem is solved. And kind of one of those, now the character rides off into the sunset kind of things where you still have there was a climactic ending and the problem was solved.
Yeah.
It just leaves it at, okay, but it was solved, but like...
There's so much more there.
Now she's filled with monsters or some shit. Like
Yeah. And like you said, maybe it was just left open for the writer. I mean, could be that she spent the last 6 years, you know, kind of mapping out where she wants to go next with the character too. I mean, who knows? I mean, how long did it take for the mage stuff to get finished? Jason didn't just finish like last year.
No,
or a couple years.
It was still going on.
Is it still going? Yeah, and he's been doing that for since I picked up my first issue of Wizard, at least. You know,
right.
Like, yeah. So, you know, it
also
could very well
one of those
be.
kind of sticking it out there to see how much interest it got and how much fan base. And if it didn't, like, if not enough people were interested in it when it actually came out, you might have just left it at that and decided not to keep doing anything with it because maybe it just really wasn't. Because I had never heard of it until I decided that I wanted to find something that I hadn't read. And started really digging and was like, well, this is 5 issues and it's got werewolves in it, so fuck yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's entirely possible too. It's kind of curious as to what actually did go down.
Yeah.
You know, I keep mulling it over, and I have a huge problem with this. The character really is overpowered.
Oh yeah.
Like, even when she gets quote unquote depowered, other aspects fill in the power gap.
Right.
Well, I don't know, because, like, she was getting her ass kicked and needed a ghost to save her more than once after she got depowered.
Yeah, but before that, she was relying on some semi-decent fighting skills and an angel to save her.
Yeah.
She always had some outside thing saving her. Some Deus Ex Machina style shit.
Yeah, she's got the fighting skills and, like, survival skills, but that's what she's got to her name that isn't some outside thing saving her butt. But the werewolf ghost points that out to her a whole bunch, too. Like, wow, now that you aren't friends with that angel, I'm saving your ass left and right, and I'm a ghost.
There's 2 more volumes of this, by the way.
There.
Yeah. There's one called the most recent one done in 2016 was called The Good, the Bad, and the Bird. That's volume 3.
The Bird
So
Jack?
I'm not sure, but yeah, there is.
Yeah, the Alabaster Wolves was just a 5-issue
Right.
thing, and it was like the setup for her character.
Right. But yeah, there's
What's
more.
volume 2 called?
I wouldn't know. I only found this out by chance. Let's see. Go to Amazon and see if they see what Caitlin's done.
Oh, it's called. They're all called Alabaster something.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Right. So there's at least 3 volumes of this. So yeah.
Okay, so they probably do finish or
The
go
other one
on
is
more
called
with the story.
Grimmer Tales.
Yeah.
There's also Pale Horse and. Oh wait,
Okay.
no,
Then it was doing good.
That's actually just a book, I think, that she wrote based on the character. Or in the universe, huh? She's actually responsible for writing a lot of books based on the, or I don't know if the comic was based on her books or vice versa. You know, but yeah, there's actually a lot of material based on this character.
Volume 2 is 13 issues.
Yeah, so.
And then volume 3 is 5 issues.
Yeah. And she's actually.
When I read the synopsis for the Wolves, Alabaster Wolves, it was supposed to be, it was its own run, but it was origin story run.
Well, it's interesting to know that the character didn't disappear after this, so...
Yeah, she is being used then.
Right, so after the 5-issue story there ended, it did continue, and that actually kind of, gives me a sense of relief. Even just paging through this really quickly and kind of getting a quick feel for it, that ending, like you said, it was climactic and stuff, and it did close out this story. But,
yeah, it didn't close out everything.
Right.
In general.
Exactly. So it's kind of a relief to know that there is more to go back to, Hey. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot to this.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
She looks to have written novels with the characters and shit in it too, so there's actually a lot of material.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I did not research this in any way. It's just a miracle that I finished reading it in time.
It looks like she's written Sandman books too.
Yeah, The Dreaming.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Huh.
Yeah, she's a good writer.
Yeah. And it does explain the kind of weird metaphysical, spiritual overtones and shit. That's interesting. Very cool. Very cool. Now we're the nerd crew. But
yeah, there's a good fucking bit of these.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll have to in the future, read the rest and see if there's any particular stories we want to cover.
I may actually go so far as to read the books.
Why not? Throw them on your Kindle.
Yeah. See if they're any good.
Yeah.
See if there was a power ramping to the character that happened behind the scenes that I didn't know. That's my big thing. Or is this really just a character that's always overblown powerful,
And I will say the beginning of the book did kind of feel to me like we were dropped in this world with this character and just kind of fast-tracked into the action and shit.
Yeah.
So maybe the novels and shit do kind of establish who she is, and the book works, or the comic works along with that,
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a multimedia type thing, or something, where, you read the books for some backstory, and then you can pick up the comics, and vice versa, and crap, and stuff, and things.
Well, I like that these comics worked as a standalone. They gave you just enough backstory that you're not
confused.
Lost.
Completely.
Yeah, it's still a complete story in itself. So it works really good in garnering interest in the character and want to know more about the character. A lot.
Yeah.
What's funny though is I'm more curious about the fucking bird.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks, that third volume, who knows, maybe the bird's back. But yeah. I mean, the art is appealing enough. The story is interesting, so it's good to know that this is carrying on. I might have to track the other ones down and see what's built upon this foundation. Like, does it explain why the wolf she killed came back as a ghost to save her? No?
They so far.
Cool. So yeah. What'd you think of it, Jason?
I'm gonna need these.
Is that already? It's only 9:30, man.
Yeah.
When did we start?
7 after.
Oh wow. Oh shit.
That's the thing, like, there's not enough to it to really sink,
Teeth into. Yeah.
Managed to make an entire episode about like the most boring issue of Hellboy in existence.
Yeah, that was forcing ourselves to do it.
Not only that, but by that time they had read enough of Hellboy to.
Yeah, there's not enough to this to really
expand upon.
Pull out much, yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that I didn't read it, so.
Right?
Yeah.
Dick.
Yeah.
It's just. It feels like an incomplete experience to me.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it works as its own standalone story, but it's like if they had started Star Wars with Empire.
Well, the impression I got from flipping through it real quick just now is that it kind of fast tracks everything to tell that tale in 5 issues, And
only to an extent, though.
Yeah.
Like, why is there a fucking angel? Why are there monsters? There's got to be some impetus for this shit. Where did it come from?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Why there's monsters, but they don't go back far enough for the origin of the angel thing or the significance of her box of stuff, that she's really touchy-feely about.
Right. And see, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, it felt like if it had had a few more issues to breathe, it would have benefited from it. And this is just coming from, like, flipping through it and reading real quick and shit. It just, like Jason said, it kind of feels incomplete. And I think part of that is owed to just, like, how fast it went from issue 1 to 5, and move the story along there. It's not devoid of any sort of context or anything, but there's a lot more world building that could have been done, I think. Had it had some more issues.
Character building that could have been done,
Well, yeah, that's part
I
of the
want to know
world
why
building.
that one werewolf came back as a ghost, but the other ones didn't.
Or better yet, why are we supposed to care about the main character?
Because she's dead.
Other than the fact she's got like insane fucking OP levels of power.
How is she OP? She got her ass kicked left and right the whole time.
She is literally the fucking sword of God up until a point.
Yeah, she was kind of still getting her ass kicked.
But up until the point where she started to rebuke the angel, like, she had literally plot armor. Like, she might have taken a couple of hits, but Deus Ex Machina every time.
Well, and I think that explaining why, the werewolf came back as her savior, would have gone a long way to fixing that problem.
Well, it does say why.
Yeah.
But it's not... It's kind of weird because I'm still like, well, she just killed, quite a few werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't they want to know the same thing? Apparently not.
Right.
Apparently they didn't want the same thing. But, if that one come back as a ghost who can randomly still do everything a person can...
Yeah.
Except when it's convenient to be...
Yeah, or
going
inconvenient.
Through trees and stuff. Yeah. Convenient for her, inconvenient for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is she the only ghost walking around?
Right.
I know the perfect simile for this. Either of you read the Dresden Files?
No, I've only seen the TV show.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In broad terms.
Kinda, yeah.
That started out as a book series.
Mm-hmm.
And it has comics, too, that happen in different places in the book storyline. If you only read the comics, you're going to get lost. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with this.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like, I feel if we had done, just like 20 minutes of research on this, we would be a far better podcasters than we are.
Well, to be fair,
that
I
would
looked
be
up
putting in the whole ass, though.
Right?
And I just looked for information on it.
Yeah.
And, outside of like Google Books and Goodreads, I didn't really find anything useful. So
it took a lot of piecing things together.
Right. Yeah.
But, it's one of those, we should not be doing this while we're doing this show.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not like we're going to do it independently.
Well, and to be fair, all that we would have found out is the same shit, that there's not a whole lot of information out there. So, it would have benefited us to be able to put the puzzle together beforehand, so we had a better context for what we had just read. But short of, like, reading subsequent volumes where maybe that shit's fleshed out, which we didn't know existed, which we very well could have overlooked in our search, You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't a comic that, it doesn't appear to be that popular, from what I can see, because generally speaking, popular comics, at least, or prolific writers will have a wiki page.
She has a wiki page.
Does she? Where is it?
I was just there.
Because it did seem like it was active to me.
But the thing is,
You're talking about that fan wiki, right?
No.
Oh, really?
Check it. Here you go.
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't come up. So maybe doing research wouldn't work because I can't do it right. Yeah.
It's one of those that, like, I picked it only because it was being labeled as its own mini, like, story. Whatever.
Right.
So it was
like a self-contained.
Yeah, it was being put out there as a complete story in 5 issues, and technically it is, but it's a complete story that started off all this stuff. But I feel like a different story should have started off the Alabaster stuff.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And like I said, I didn't read, bit by bit meticulously, but I did read as I was, going through, and that's the sense I got. Like Jason said, this feels incomplete. It feels like kind of the wrong place to start this out, and which could well be why it doesn't seem to be very big. Maybe...
Yeah, it could just be the introduction itself was just not enough to grab people.
Right. And which is a shame, because there's a lot of interesting stuff there, but it feels like we were dropped in the middle of a story in progress. And which can be okay if done well.
Guys, check this shit. Everything in the fucking series.
Nice.
But
that's all we like. That's a database of everything in the series. In reading order.
Yeah, okay. So there was
except for the comics.
Okay, so there was a book called Threshold and Alabaster and shit. Like, it looks like there was a substantial chunk of stuff before this comic came out.
are you serious?
Yeah.
I must not have done long enough research, because I did research on this chunk a little bit.
Yeah. It's not, so maybe...
Okay, check this shit.
Maybe not the best comic to start out.
Alright,
but
let's fill in some gaps here then.
Right.
Now we have her entire backstory opened up for us.
Okay.
Whew.
Her birth was foretold by an angel to her mother, Julia Flammarion. Wanting to prevent such a disturbing birth, Julia tried to kill herself by drowning herself off the Florida Gulf Coast, but she was rescued by fishermen. 9 months later, Dancy was born in her grandmother's cabin in the middle of nowhere in the Florida Panhandle. She grew up in seclusion with only her grandmother, her mother, and her nearest neighbor, the cemetery caretaker named Mr. Jube, for company. I don't want to read any more of this. Came to the attention of the supernatural when something came out of the swamp and approached the door of Mr. Jube's cabin during one of Dancy's evening visits, eyeing her suspiciously. This is okay. So she killed some people. Something about a bottle containing 30,000 ways to die. She was supposed to take out. Okay, superhuman abilities. Physical abilities. She's very proficient with a knife. Perhaps too proficient. This is where it gets ambiguous under superhuman abilities. It says she claims that she has visions of an angel directing her to kill certain monsters, but as evidenced from Threshold, it's questionable if she's really seeing an angel or if she's delusional and it's just the voices in her head being projected. She also seems to have the ability to see monsters and other preternatural beings as they really are. However, at the mansion, those with preternatural pups reserve the right to reveal this to her at their discretion. Also, she won't be going off on a rampage and killing predators left and right, but if anyone wants to plot a bit where she does... Okay. What is this? This is... It looks like this is a fucking wiki for, like, fan fiction. Okay, but anyway.
But this is legit shit.
Yeah, no, I get that, but... she doesn't have magical possessions. She has a duffel bag, butcher's knife, a razor. Yeah, this looks actually like a role-playing Yeah.
What?
This is for role-playing.
Yeah, but...
This wiki is what?
Yeah, it's RP canon, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still the only thing I could find with any sort of background info.
Right.
Yeah, it might be one of those that it comes up a little bit at a time.
Well, I know where I'd have to go look.
Basically,
because
look.
There is a fandom for this.
Threshold, Alabaster. Variant is Alabaster Pale Horse, but that came out before. What we read just came out in 2012, right?
Yeah.
So wow, yeah, almost all of this is pre-2012. Apparently, she's in all of that.
Yeah, this just suggests that like something came out of the swamp and killed her family, and then she went after it with a rifle and killed it, and then she was guided by an angel.
You know, Now that I read more and more into this, Piper, why'd you have us read some teeny bopper YA fucking goth fiction?
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
He likes werewolves, and
I like werewolves.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, and I don't mean to joke, but I've come to know you, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason you picked it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is looking more like
it's
something.
Fine though. Yeah.
That if we put it into Tumblr within an hour, within like 10 minutes, our nose would start bleeding. Just like brains leaking out of our skull kind of thing.
Shit. I didn't know, man. The werewolf had a bunch of titties.
They gave her multiple nipples like a dog. She's gonna have a litter. Yeah. No, but I mean,
some artists, that's how they do it.
This is kind of disappointing though, because if this is accurate to the canon and shit, it's kind of disappointing. It really does come off like a very standard kind of story. Like it doesn't seem to have a very interesting hook. Even the idea that she could be, delusional and hearing voices comes off as cliched. Like I think the comic made it seem a little bit cooler than it was, and then we go and read this, and I'm like,
if we go and read her actual backstory, it's gonna be poop.
Her backstory: her parents were killed in an alley by a swamp monster. She became albino girl, defender of.
But I mean, come on! It even started with her birth being foretold.
Yeah.
It's come this
she was
far
born under a strange sign.
It would be foretold if she's supposed to be death.
Yeah.
Which means there should be three other weirdos.
She was born under a strange sign. no vacancy.
Right. No, it just says no van.
Oh, shit. Oh, maximum occupancy, 30 people.
What?
Oh, she was born under a strange sign. Oh, but yeah.
But it's just, yes, it makes sense for the storyline, but no, that doesn't stop the storyline from being cliche as fuck.
Maybe that means that we shouldn't dig anymore and read more.
Dude, let's put it
Let's
this
leave
way.
it at the werewolves were
This
neat.
is the kind of shit the goth girls with daddy issues that I went after in high school would read.
So I would read this in high school.
Yeah.
To be fair, you are not very far separated from that.
I'm way older than that. So there's that.
Physically.
Oh.
Get it. I picked it because werewolves.
That's how we do things here at
Hey,
Greater
at least
Point
I didn't
5.
pick it because sparkly vampires or some shit.
Yeah, man, if you want fucking quality, go to look for graded 1.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
twice
slightly.
as good as
Fuck those graded 9 folks.
Yeah, who really wants a graded 9? That's like a hoity-toity fucking ivory tower.
Yeah.
They're living in a lucite box up on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, and they've got issues fucking or episodes rather fucking mapped out for years, man. They've done all the research. Fuck that shit. Nobody needs that. Unless you want to make money. I kind of want to make money, Jason.
Hell, you shouldn't have.
Oh shit.
Dude, our Twitter's lost over 40 followers
Why?
because I took over full time.
What did you do, Jason?
Damn.
I basically told them to shut the fuck up about the political stuff and go read a goddamn comic book.
Well,
And when they said, no, there's too many politics in comic books, I said, shut the fuck up and find a good writer.
Right? Go find a good comic book.
right, yeah, like
Don't read those.
yeah,
But that's all of them. No, only in Marvel and DC. Go read a fucking indie.
right. Like I've been promoting fucking Jack Irons for the last couple months, and it's fucking great.
But yeah,
Good.
I came to them with the truth, and they did not like to hear it.
Well, and I think where that's coming from is that some people are really invested in kind of. I think. I don't.
there's only like 5 followers left, and that's less.
Actually,
Oh shit.
we are down to 525.
Well, we're
I'm
about to
proud
lose
of
some
you.
more because what I wanted to say was that like there are people out there who become a parody of what they hate or a reflection rather, and so they're invested in the ideas that comics on the whole at large are way too politically driven, you know. So when you tell them that comics have always had a political bent, I mean, fuck, correct me if I'm wrong, but Captain America started out essentially as fucking anti-Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was propaganda as fuck.
Right. So,
But he was developed after all that
Right.
into a genuinely interesting character.
and that's the thing, though. I mean, aside from, you know, real, you know, overt examples, you know, comics have been dealing with politics. I mean, X-Men was an allegory for, like,
Yeah, but
you know.
see, it did it in a way that didn't beat you in the face with
Well,
it.
and
Was still
called
an
literary
entertaining
device.
story. Yeah.
Right.
It was
And-
an entertaining story. It was still unique to
Right.
itself.
And I think
And-
Jason can agree with the people who are bringing that up.
Yeah.
Or he can agree with them, but they're acting, and you know, to be fair, there is a lot of in-your-face, preachy, almost insulting politics in comics now.
And you know what? I
But-
think we're going to end that whole line of discussion by saying, and you will never fucking see them here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're not going to read that shit,
Yeah.
but
I don't
We're gonna
do
read
the whole
fucking
hate
teeny-bopper
reading
bullshit
thing.
about werewolves.
yeah.
Wait, what? Yeah.
But all,
We're going to read fucking Goth Twilight.
but Jason, all I was going to say
Dude,
though,
that
man,
was
is like,
way not cute enough to be
if we're
Twilight
losing.
shit.
If we're losing followers because of that, I mean, I think those people are just too invested, and it's a shame because, like, there's a lot of good stuff out there, man, and it sucks to miss it because you get yourself invested in that mindset, you know?
And it may be an asshole thing to say, but I'm just going to lay the truth out there. It's a rule of 5. Out of any 5 people that react to anything I say, 1 out of 5 agrees with me. 1 out of 5 is willing to hear me out and possibly alter their own views, and the other 3 are just bitching.
Yeah.
None of us do this for those 3 people.
Right.
We're here for the other 2.
Well, yeah, and that's something I had to learn, like, with my art and my Twitter stuff, is, like, I can't please everybody all the time, and there are going to be days where I can please nobody. And yet I'm going to keep doing what I do because it's what I like doing. And if somebody comes up with some genuine constructive criticism, I'll take it. But if somebody comes up and tells me that one of my drawings is offensive for some strange reason, you know, they can take a hike because they're not the kind of people who are ever going to be my audience in the first place. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I think at least on my Twitter's a clusterfuck, but for the most part, I do my Twitter for me. Like,
right.
I am on there to be entertained and entertain myself. But if I happen to entertain other people, that's awesome.
Right. And to be fair, yours is a clusterfuck because you go seeking that shit out.
I don't, man. That shit follows me first.
Really?
You don't have to react, though.
It's funny. Well, then it's no fun.
Yeah. But no,
okay.
And there's... Yeah, what's up?
I need to cross the threshold here, Daryl.
Yeah, man.
It's bugging me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2 words to you. And I want you to tell me whether or not they apply to this comic.
I've already told you I won't fuck you.
No. No. Do they apply to this comic? Mary Sue.
I mean, it can kind of be read that way.
Okay.
Because I think
I would think so from all of them put together.
Yeah.
But
like
not
knowing
from these
what we
5.
now know about the backstory and shit.
Yeah,
Right.
if that's really the backstory, that isn't Mary Sue. But at least from these 5 that I read, I don't get Mary Sue.
Now, see, my
I
understanding...
get rather unlucky person, but...
Right. Well, let me just clarify my understanding of Mary Sue. Because the origin of it for me was that fan fiction, the Star Trek fan fiction, where the girl had written herself in, and she was basically friends with all the, all the fucking crew members, and she had magical powers that could solve any problem. And
that is a true Mary Sue. A true Mary Sue basically has no flaws.
Right. And so...
all-powerful and perfect, and therefore a very flat, boring character, because there's no flaws and shit.
I was going to say, from that respect, I don't know that I would say this is this particular book. Now, maybe all the material put together, would because I mean, she is flawed. There's a lot of fucking.
I'm still saying she's getting her ass kicked.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but then
a lot. So,
but then she's being pulled out of those situations by
Deus Ex Machina.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Everything that's pulled her out of trouble was for their own benefit and ended up using her.
Right.
So she's just kind of being flung everywhere by everybody else's whim.
Right.
Okay.
So
and that's gonna suck.
And in that respect, I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say she's definitely a character with skills that kind of put her, into or at least give her the potential to become that. You know what I mean? Like, in this story, I wouldn't say.
I don't think she fits Mary Sue, probably even in the other ones. I don't think Mary Sue is the right thing, but I can say
the ballpark.
Overdone.
Right. Yeah.
Typical, unoriginal. That kind of stuff. There is plenty going on where she's super special because not only did this happen and that happen and she's albino and she's this and she's that, it's not really Mary Sue, but it's borderline Mary Sue in this genre.
Right.
Now,
yeah, I mean, she doesn't come off like the chick.
Quite interesting enough.
Right. She doesn't come off like the chick in the fucking Twilight books where she's basically
a brick.
Even though she's a regular human, she's just like, You know,
Super special.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Jason,
I think we should put in our final word here, and I think mine's going to be this. What is Alabaster? A miserable pile of tropes.
Damn, harsh.
and I gotta say, man, like when Piper first brought this to us, I was kind of excited to read it, you know,
I was too when I first found it.
I made the mistake of believing she had taste. No, I'm kidding.
I like it for the comic itself.
Right.
Everything attached to that? Fuck that.
Yeah. It definitely has
Like,
it has that Twilight vibe.
I'm gonna go there. I read forward. Apparently in Volume 2 she dies. In Volume 3 she's in hell.
Who else is doing that?
See, that's original.
Yeah.
I think Mike Mignola may want to have a word with some people.
We all remember when Jason went to hell.
I mean,
Yeah, my
granted,
marriage.
it's been done a lot, and so you
not
can't
you.
just blame this writer, but at the same time, it's been done a lot, so you would think that this writer would come up with something different.
To be fair, Daryl, my name is Jason and I have gone to hell.
Yes.
So I do fit your fucking criteria.
I too have been to New Jersey.
I've been to New Jersey and I've been married.
Damn.
I know
Double
depths of
whammy.
hell you cannot imagine.
But were you married in New Jersey? But yeah. No, I it kind of, from what I've been reading, it kind of gives me Twilight vibes in the sense that it was like, it's something that, I don't know, comes off very amateurish, very, the term wish fulfillment is, bandied about way too loosely these days.
You know, that was the term that I was looking for, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't coming to me.
And I would say in that respect, this comic definitely feels like the that would be what I think would qualify it as a Mary Sue. Maybe the character isn't perfect, but she feels like a self-insert kinda.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's still different from America. Usually, those two go hand in hand. Like, usually those are both. But you can be a self-insert, but at least have enough writing skill to not be a complete Mary Sue.
Right.
While still coming across as flat.
Right. And that's the case in this. It's like,
I think that's my opinion overall from what we dug up and from reading those things is it had potential because it's not as, I don't know, cutesy bullshit as, well, I've never read Twilight, but from what I know about Twilight, there's no sparkly vampires and romance bullshit.
Okay, maybe you're not as much of a thought as I give you credit for.
You know, I don't have interest. I like, Blood and Chocolate was disappointing too. Because the book is good, but the movie was too cutesy. Anyway. So it really looks like it has potential. At least art-wise and setup-wise, it's not trying to be Twilight.
right.
Unfortunately,
But it's
it
trying
is
to
very
be,
flat characters.
Yeah.
Dude.
Literally flat. I mean, did you see that girl's chest?
Right?
This is the drunken one-night stand of comics. At the time, it seemed like a good idea. And while you're doing it, it seemed pretty good. But when you wake up in the morning and, really look at what you've just gotten into, you want to gnaw your own arm off to get away.
Well, I think it said a lot that after 5 issues, we were looking for things to say after a while.
Yeah.
I was about to say, and then once we realized that, holy shit, this is horrible, it's just like the episode picked right up.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things, when I'm trying to pick a random comic, if I want something outside of, what's already been recommended to me or what's already, everybody reads kind of thing.
Yeah.
Werewolves will obviously always catch my eye, or wolf-related stuff will catch my eye, and cover art will catch my eye. And this just happened to have both that really attracted me to want to read it.
Right.
And even the inner art, even though with its inconsistency, it was still easy to follow, and it's still better than what I can do, so...
Yeah. I can actually respect that. I mean, there have been plenty of comic book that I picked up back in the day that, was just on the strength of the cover art, and stuff.
And some are hit or miss because the cover art's usually different from what's in there, but it usually at least is supposed to give you an idea of what you're in for.
Right.
And honestly, like I said, the comic isn't bad. It says don't read anything else attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comic
read further in the comic.
Right. And that's the thing, though. Like, when it comes down to, like, final thoughts, I would say that this one's a pass for sure, like, it, again, I think its biggest weakness is that it comes off like we're being, and it turns out we were, thrust into the middle of a story in progress with little context and
it's being
little
marketed
offered
as its own thing, which I get how it can stand as its own thing,
right?
But it's more like its own thing using a character that we really should have been reading a bunch of stuff for prior.
Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. So, I think this one's a hard pass.
Then again, if we had known about the stuff prior, would we have read the comic?
Fuck no. Because that's a commitment
along.
Yeah. But that's a commitment along the lines of Hellboy,
Yeah, and sometimes, especially with the show, it pays off not to do the fucking research.
Right.
Because sometimes the research is going to turn you off.
Right.
But what I kind of like is the idea of randomly picking stuff without knowing things prior.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because then ragging on it, we didn't purposely go out and hate buy somebody's comic. We just accidentally read a shit.
Right.
Read something bad.
Right. And we're not shitting on it, I mean, there are people who have made...
shit on this comic. It's still very well executed.
Right.
I think the writer is talented. I just think that there's a little too much putting in typical tropes from all of the darker kind of comics.
No,
they're all in one comic.
Hear me out. The first story was written in 2001. This was written in 2012.
Right.
That's 11 years of fucking growth in style. She just got fucking stuck with the shitty character that was a wish fulfillment she made in younger days.
Yeah.
Could have been, yeah.
And was able to do some decent writing with it in the comic.
Could have been, yeah.
Like, that's how it feels to me. Like, it's kind of like,
and also, depending on, the way you're getting paid and this and that, you might sign on for, I'm going to write this many of this series. But by the time she dies and goes into hell, it could very well be, I don't know what the fuck else to do with this character, guys. Like,
right.
Guess I'll send her to hell. She's that kind of character,
Right. She's the embodiment of death. Let's play with her in hell and see how that goes.
Because I think, the concept of, I think she should have stuck to one concept, I think is one of the problems. I think the concept of none of this, all this cursed bullshit and bad bullshit, like, happening in her birth and all that stuff. Maybe a weird, birth. But for the most part, just being the albino part, and later finding out you're stuck with this job whether you realize it or not,
right?
Of killing shit, and growing up getting used to that, and then later finding out that you are death. You are the writer and the pale horse and shit like that. That whole part of the storyline I think is neat. I think that's useful. I think that's interesting. But I could do without all of the other, typical dark comic bullshit being shoved into one comic with that.
Right.
I mean, except the werewolves. That was neat. But, the fighting monsters isn't a new angle, but it's an angle that can always be done in new ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing. This thing didn't give itself enough room to take it really in any new and interesting ways. I mean, broken down to its, barest minimum, this comes off as a very Buffy-esque thing, which itself wasn't unique, So,
Well, see, that's why I like the albino and death, twist on it. I just think they crammed way too much, especially once we just read about the real origin of her and stuff. They crammed too many tropes, honestly.
Right.
Too many dark or horror comic tropes into one character.
This is some True Blood shit.
I was actually thinking about that earlier, Even the kind of Louisiana type setting and shit like that, the swampland setting and
This
all
some
that.
True Blood shit.
Yeah.
I do always like that, though, since I'm from Louisiana. I always love the stories that are set there, especially when they end up more werewolf heavy than vampire heavy. Because when you're down there, werewolf lore and vampire lore are both very, very popular and shit. But vampire always gets to take center stage.
Is there any like black guy with the hook hand who comes when you say his name in the mirror lore?
Can you?
There's a lot of swamp monster, demon lore, and tons and tons of zombie and voodoo lore down there. The zombie voodoo stuff, the werewolf stuff, and the vampire stuff are still the most popular ones.
Right.
But mostly the vampire stuff.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think... I don't know. Is there much more we can say about this? Because I'm kind of running out of steam. And it's been about an hour.
Oh, excuse me.
Nice. You should just end on that.
I just stifled that, sorry.
All right. If you agree, disagree, want to yell at us, call Piper a thought, hit us up at twitter.com/grade.5. We'll be around next time. Hey, this is Jason. This here to say, if you enjoyed the show, spread it around on social media, and follow our social media presences on Facebook and Twitter, both at Graded.5. Just spell the whole thing out. Also, support your local comic shop and the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. If you don't know where your local comic shop is, there are sites like findacomic.com, and that'll help you find it. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you next time.